guys, Jay here from smarthelping.com. We're about halfway through the fall of 2022, and today we're going to look at the sports agent model or sports agency. I actually don't know exactly what I want to do yet, something around that. We've had a pretty productive past couple of months. We've been able to do the construction business, financial model, accounting system. If we look down here at everything, so far, you can see in 2022, I've actually done 42 posts, much higher than even higher than 2017. This is when I really started kicking off and was doing stuff like a lot. Then it kind of slowed down, but 2022 really picked it up. A lot of models, a lot of templates been done. I'm really happy with how all of it's going. So today, the sports agency model will go into the industry specific bundle when it's done. Let's send Twitter update. Let's get started. Today will be research for sure. We're researching. And maybe starting to lay out some revenue assumptions. All right, so we've got our blank Excel sheet. This is going to be revenue assumptions. Let's talk. So sports agency. I don't know if we want to do an actual agency because I've done some agency models before, but I want to kind of focus on it. Like, let's just look here. So a sports agent is like their own entity, I believe, and you've got a bunch of different clients. And you might have a firm that you actually run. Let's look at sports agent economics. Look at all the ways that they can make money, first of all, because that's how we need to structure logic. Let's see, how much does a sports agent make? Well, obviously, you've got the big ones. Rich Paul comes to mind. But, you know, not everyone has billion-dollar clients. There's just a lot of average folks out there. Contemplating a career choice, and like sports agents' wages are determined not so much on their performance, but on the performance of the athletes they represent. What does a sports agent do? You represent the athlete, sit behind a desk, negotiate contracts, taxes, product endorsements. Yep, so it's more of your own business. It's not like a 9 to 5 that's what I figured. Okay. Several factors go into determining the wage. Commissions. All right, so here's what we want to focus on. These are all revenue sources. And by the way, how much do sports agents make in the NFL? Low is 375, high 20 million. 11,000 to 600,000 commission. Baseball, more, because baseball players make more. Although I bet you for baseball, so let's think about this. For football, you have more players on the team. Baseball a little bit less. Basketball's high on the low end, and then on the high end, they're almost what the MLB is. Okay, interesting. It's gonna your ability to network, do a really good job, is going to be what determines likely how well you do in the field, and you got to have really good personnel skills. Building relationships and just being really good at what you do. Okay, so all right, let's look. So commissions. The sports agent gets a commission off the athlete's earnings. earnings vary by sport and player. The average commission for an athlete is between 4 and 10%. Interesting. Okay, 4 and 10%. That's going to be logic. Some sports have a limit on the commission an agent can charge, whereas the National Basketball Association and National Football League have the limit at 3%. Hockey and National Hockey League and Major League. What's the Major League? Major League what? Is this all hockey? I don't know. So they don't have limits. So there's limits on the big boys. NBA, NFL, 3% is the limit. Okay, variations. The commission on an agent earns depends on the player's salary for the sport. Salary caps can put a limit on the commission. Wait, the commission an agent earns depends on the player's salary. Salary caps can put a limit on the commission. Now, what does that mean exactly? Some Does that mean if there's a salary cap, like, is the commission part of the salary? For example, if a guy makes $5 million in a year and their agent takes 3%, 150,000 a year, is the salary of the team paying out 5,150,000, or is the player getting 5 million and of that 5 million they pay the agent 150,000? I don't know if that's relevant for the logic we have to build or not, but interesting. Endorsements. So when a player gets an endorsement from a product company, the agent also gets a part of that pay. The amount the agent gets is the contract is negotiation. And sports agent typically earns 10 to 20% of endorsements. And that makes more sense because the endorsements are kind of, the agent has a bigger part in the earnings there. Location, yep, okay. So if you're interested in finding. Okay, good to know. This will be pretty simple model from what I'm reading. And again, it's not a sports agency, and I believe the way this is structured, it doesn't make sense to have to have an agency. Like, you could, but you're really a sports agent is like their own business, and they just get clients and get deals, and they make percentages on all the money that the athlete makes. So, what was I about to look up? Oh, average clients of a sports agent. Now, the median salary of a sports agent is 73,000, so that's what I'm saying. The average person is not making 300,000-400,000 a year as a sports agent. You're taking on a lot of guys that have, contracts that are maybe in the hundreds of thousands and not millions and tens and hundreds of millions. But again, the reason why this model is going to be good is you can kind of plan out what happens, what needs to happen for you, or what is the result of growing your client base, what's the result of attracting athletes that make more, what does that look like for money, how much do you have to spend, are you going to do marketing and try and scale and just become really popular to get notoriety, and there's all kinds of things going on here. I just want to see on average how many players would an average agent have. only one athlete or many, depending on the sport. Okay, so hold on. Now, this is a question. Do all sports agents work for a sports agency? Because here they're saying they represent only one athlete or many, depending on the sport and the size of their agency. Well, I guess that could be your own single agency. There are approximately 17,060 agents and managers employed in the United States. It's not a ton. I mean, you're looking at a very small, professional athletes that make enough money to where you can make sense. There's not a ton. Sports agent receive 415%. Okay. Let's look at a sports agency. How does a sports agency make money? So sports, let's look here. Sports agency companies transact service and endorsement deals on behalf of their sports persons. The agents receive a predetermined percentage. So is this kind of like a real estate brokerage if you do it this way? Yeah, sports agency. Startup agents do not require a lot of capital. I didn't think so. It's more about networking, but you have to try to get yourself out there somehow. Branding, office space. Okay, so there's some costs here. You want to look professional. Website for sure. Yeah, you want to you want to have some idea about the players and what the game that you're gonna try and get into. You got to have some knowledge. Uh, Business plan. That's kind of what we're focusing on. Each agency owner must have a long-term plan. Explain how the company intends to generate revenue and bookkeeping policies. When calculating the agency's finances, incorporate licensing fees, professional fees, travel, events, upkeep fees. I don't know what that is. Oh, there's an exam. Okay. Good info. All good info. So the fact that they require you to have a long-term financial plan, or well, this is according to Forbes, but the idea is it's good to have that. I still want to know. I mean, how many? I guess you couldn't. Like the scaling here is not super complex. What do you say? How many sports persons are you managing over time? And are you growing? Are you scaling? The big thing is, can you scale this to where you are getting other agents in with you under the brand, and then you get a percentage of what they earn, kind of like a real estate brokerage? That's my question. I don't know if anybody has any insight on this. Um, let's look at large sports agencies, see what we could find. what are the top 10 sports agencies? So if we wanted to make a model for an entire sports agency, like these are obviously giant businesses. They're not just single person operations. I just want to know how they work. They offer athletes and sports marketing, other services, partnerships, marketing, media. See, this is tough. I really have no idea where to approach. I mean, so one model is you simply say, okay, I'm a sports agent. Here's my monthly costs or annual costs. Here's my expected clients I'm going to get. Here's how much I think they're going to earn over time. And you can just adjust that each year. And obviously, you want to try to go up. And then here's based on these commissions. Here's the sports agent revenue. That's pretty simple, and that's what we might end up doing, but I want to see if it makes sense to do a larger thing where you've got, these like Viral Nation. What, how do they work? How do they make money? Creative Arts Agency. So it's kind of like sport talent management. Oh, coaches also have agents. All their clients are represented by the entire agency. Now, what does that mean? All their clients are represented. So if you are an agent working within the agency, if you're a sports agent working for an agency, what are the commission splits like? I'm sure you get some as a sports agent, and the agency itself, like in this case, CAA, would get a percentage as well. All their clients are represented by the entire agency. This makes it easier for sport talent to build their brand. Okay. So this is just like a talent agency. Now I've got a professional slash talent agency model already built that basically, let's look at that real quick to see if it's really any different. So for this one, well, let's just open it up. I have it here. Let's see. Oh no, it's under recurring revenue SaaS models. There it is. So we've already got this thing built. This allows you to do, so these would be the professionals added per month would be like your sports agents added to the agency. And then you have, let's see, now this is based on hourly billings. So this is different. This is based on billings more so. So it's not really for sports agents. It'd be for an agency that takes a cut of the earnings of the professionals based on hourly, or I mean these could be billing days per month, and this could be the billing per day, but still different. So okay, that's a little bit different. We got definitely this one's going to be based off percentages. Just don't know if we should focus on just doing it for a sports agent or an agency that has sports agents in them. Do sports agents share commissions with sports agency? Let's look at this. Sports agent represent athletes. Okay, I'm not talking about like an agency versus an agent. Oh, this guy, holy cow, 108 million in 1 year. Oh, or maybe in total for based on 1.9 billion in player contracts. So, I mean, that's the top of the top there. 76. Okay. So he has 76 clients. I imagine he's outsourcing a lot of this work, but he's keeping the commissions and then paying fees to people to run the thing. Like he's not doing 76. He's not like I'm sure he's outsourcing some of this work. Okay, but that's a good number. That means it's not like just a couple. Like you can have a fairly decent scale if you do like a 5-year financial plan where you're increasing your account and also you're increasing your average. What do they call it? Player contract values. Okay, that's interesting. All right. Well, I think what we do is keep this. Let's make a new tab. So here's what we do. Oh, what am I writing? We're going to assume this is a single person operated endeavor. So well, the question is, let's put starting player count. And we have a 5-year plan here, so and we're not going to get too caught up in a lot of the formatting of this model right now. I'm just focused on the logic. We'll get that done. I might do another stream on Friday. I'll be gone on vacation the rest of the week. This week. Okay, so let's say let's scoot this out. Let's say we have start month. So whenever you think you're going to get your first client, this will be a drop down, but for now, let's just say it's 4/1/2023. Starting count, let's say you start with 2, whatever the case is. And all we want to simply do is then put average monthly growth in player count. So you start with 2, and then maybe in year, oh, let's move this over. In year 1, maybe you grow by 5% per month. So what that means is you start with 2, then 2 goes to whatever this result is. So 2.1 and et cetera and et cetera. That's how you grow. Now remember, this is not the amount the growth and amount of clients added per month. This is just the growth of the starting count. The reason why we can do this is because we're not going to worry about attrition. We're just going to say over time you can put in some percentage, and that's going to define how many clients you're representing over time. Now 5% per month is huge growth. I mean, that's insane over 5 years, so it's probably going to be going down over time, and then maybe you get to a stabilized point where you don't actually grow anymore. You've gotten to whatever your goal is for clients, and that's fine. Okay, so here's some general assumptions. We also want to put, average player contract value. Now, the thing about contracts is sometimes they can be 10 days, they could be 1 year, they could be 5 year. There's even 10-year contracts. Which actually leads me to think, let's make this a 10-year model. Just in case, because some contracts are longer, we might need a little bit of a runway to account for all this. So we say over that, what's the average player contract value? Now this is where things might get a little interesting. If let's say it's, I don't know, 500,000. We have to find some way to understand when the contracts are up for renewal. So how many times they renew over time, and how frequent are the renewals? And at renewal, is the contract price going up? So there's some broad level assumptions we could probably apply to this, I believe. And so let's think about it. If I'm representing players, I guess we could say, so you have an average player contract. We can reference a one, how do we do this? I think to make it easier to just understand and use, we say average annual player contract value. So that way you don't have to try to think about, different time frames. You just say, okay, on average, how much are the players that I represent earning per month? Or well, or per year. Average annual player contract value. So if they earn $100 million over 5 years, big contract, that's 2 million a year, or 20 million a year, sorry. So, If that's the case, then you would put 20 million here, and maybe you grow that over time. So this can change over time, or you can represent higher value clients over time, whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's good. So we'll have player count. We have average contract value of the player. Um, we'll have average commission earned per player. So remember, this is depends on the sport, but sports agent gets a commission off the athlete's earnings between 4 and 10%. And remember, it is capped for some of the higher ones at 3%. Okay. So average commission, let's say 6%. That's what you earn as the agent. And then we also need to say average annual player endorsements. So per year, how much are your players average getting how much are your players getting per year in endorsements? Maybe this is a little bit less, maybe 150,000. And again, this is arbitrary. I'm just making up numbers, but you can change these over time. And then you also will put, so this is a section, well, let's just give it a space. And you'll earn more on these, whatever the endorsements are, 10 to 20% maybe, or what was it? Yeah, 10 to 20%. So we'll put 15. And so essentially we just run some fancy math on this logic here, and then we apply the resulting numbers of agents you have by this logic and this logic, and that's the revenue. So pretty easy to understand, but definitely lots of variation in depending on where you're going to try to target. You know, you could have a small amount of players with very large contracts, or lots of players with large contracts, or lots of players, or a few amount of players with very large contracts. It's all strategy, depends on what you want to do and what you're capable of doing. But this is the general layout. Pretty happy with this. We'll build into a full financial model, cash flow planner, all that stuff, budgeting. We'll have expenses. I don't know how many variable expenses there are as a sports agent if you're just collecting all the money. We may look into that. I mean, let's look real quick. Like, do we have is there a, sports agent income statement? Nope, that's not relevant. Just trying to see. Sports financial statements. Average agent commissions. Interesting. I mean, just know the financial aspect of this is important, but what's much more important for your earning potential is you have to have some good knowledge. You probably have to have some law background. You need some business background. You need to know the sport. You need to have relationships within the sport because you're negotiating with teams, and you got to be good at a lot of stuff. But I mean, also on the back end, you should probably have some kind of financial plan for what your goals are, and that could drive your activities a little bit. So that's what we're doing here. All right, yeah, I don't know of any variable costs related to this that I could think of right off the bat. Like, what do you, if as you scale for more players? Well, I wonder, do sports agents cover marketing? I'm trying to recruiting new talent and managing marketing promotion. Let's see, what are my costs as a sports agent? Because we want to know what scales with the player as your client count rises. So there are exams once a year. You have to pay fees, all that, but I'm trying to find variable costs. What's this? Potential startup costs to becoming a certified sports agent. Let's
One of
hear
the
it.
most important things to think about when entering the sports agent business is all the costs associated to get started. It is very expensive to be a sports agent in one of the top professional sports leagues. Before you even represent one athlete, you'll need to pay for the following. Number one, application costs. Many of the professional leagues have high application fees to get the process started. For example, in the NFL, you'll have to pay a $2,500 non refundable application fee. So
Okay, it's
before
not
you
that
submit
much.
your application, make sure you have met all the prerequisite requirements in order to increase your chances of success. Number two, state registrations. Once you become a certified sports agent, then you'll have to register in the various states you want to operate in. Each state has its own fees and application process. It could range anywhere as little as $20 to over $1,000 in some
So
states.
2,500
Some
for the
states will
exam. You
also
got state
require
fees
that
like
you
a
be
thousand
bonded,
dollars
which
max.
adds another cost. Number three, travel. As a sports agent, you'll do a lot of traveling.
Traveling,
It's
but
just the
that's not going
nature
to
of the
scale that
business.
much with your
Whether
clients. I
it's
mean, it
taking a
will a
trip
little
to
bit, but you
recruit
can
an athlete or
define that on a
having to
fixed
attend a
cost. That's
mandatory
fine.
agent seminar in your sport. Be prepared to spend a lot of money on travel each year. For
Okay.
example, for NFL agents, the
Yes, we under.
busiest travel season is from Thanksgiving to mid January. This is where agents are making their final recruiting pitches to NFL draft prospects. This period also happens to be the most expensive time to travel during the year.
So you're
Number
traveling,
four, marketing. You'll need to develop
marketing.
all your marketing materials, so the writing, design, and printing of all these materials. Your marketing materials and website will need to stand out from the competition. Be ready to spend the time and the money to get the marketing right. This could be the difference from signing an athlete or not.
So marketing is kind of just, but it's you're marketing yourself, not marketing
These are just
for
some of the startup costs associated with
the
trying
sports
to be a
agent
certified
or
sports agent.
the player.
When you start representing athletes, then you'll incur a range of other costs. Just keep these costs in mind when making the
What's the range of
decision
other
to
costs?
pursue your sports agent certification.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, the other costs that go into it. All right. Well, there may be some other costs. I will look into that. Put a note here. Look into other variable costs that scale with the count of athletes. acquired. All right, other than that, I mean, so the revenue logic, I think got a pretty good handle on. Uh, we're gonna have to focus a little bit more on some of the costs, and then we can start building. But this is a short stream today. I just wanted to get started on something. I feel like we got a pretty good start for sure. And like I said, I'll be on vacation all week. I'll continue Friday. Remember, you can check out more financial models, templates, and tools at smarthelping.com. All sorts of things here. Check out the financial models tab here at the top to see everything I've ever done. Hundreds of different financial models in tools for all kinds of stuff. So if you use Excel or Google Sheets, you'll find value here. If you've never used them, you're going to find a lot of value here, and you'll be surprised at all the stuff that can be done. Alrighty, I will see you guys either this Friday or next Monday to actually continue on with a longer stream. But I figured I'd get something out this morning real quick um, before I get ready to go. Alrighty, see.